Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today, and shall we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, you may hear it in my voice. We're sick. It's so annoying. It's so sad. My son brought home something over the weekend to share with us. And so now we all sound like we are horses. Hey, it's awful. Either way, golly, it hasn't sounded that bad yet. I am so sorry. Nevertheless, we've got a lot to talk about because today is a big day for cryptocurrency. We have a major rally going on right now on Bitcoin, and we're rallying back up to test the previous bull market's all-time high once again. If you'll remember, over the course of the last several weeks, we have been discussing how Bitcoin was going to, within about 42 days of when we said, was likely going to end up breaking above all-time high and going into blue sky breakout territory. I believe that we're going to be seeing a $100,000 Bitcoin before the end of quarter 3, right on into the beginning of quarter 4 of this year. And right now, it seems that we may be putting into place a formation that will lead us back towards our current all-time high of $73,000 and well beyond that. But that's not what we're going to be mainly talking about today. Today, we're mainly going to be talking about Fidelity and BlackRock, because their two Bitcoin funds recently surpassed 49 days of consecutive inflows. Now, if you don't know what that means, that places them in the history books as some of the best performing ETF products in the history of the United States stock market. Now, the reason that this is also very important is because IBIT, which is BlackRock's exchange-traded fund for Bitcoin, makes up over half of the activity of BlackRock's entire 420 ETF lineup. You heard that right. Half of the activity going on all 420 of their ETFs. Remember, biggest asset manager in the world. Year to date, Bitcoin's ETF, the IBIT ETF, makes up over half. Over half. On Fidelity's side, also one of the largest asset managers on planet Earth, their Bitcoin exchange traded fund, FBTC, makes up almost 70% of activity amongst all their funds. So in a sense, when it comes to the ETF game, BlackRock and Fidelity are now more crypto companies, specifically more Bitcoin companies, than they are stock and commodity trading companies. Wow. That's a big story. Will that last? We will see. But for right now, they are both outperforming every single other ETF in history year-to-date in activity, and they have both performed better than all but only 30 ETFs in the history of the entire stock market, with the longest consecutive streak of inflows being 49 days so far. That is a very big deal. We're going to talk about more of that in this episode, and we'll be discussing why that leads us to the conclusion that this Bitcoin bull market is nowhere near over, and we've got a lot more to come. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Let's read some chat. Mike Lowry is in chat. Alex Nybo is here. Joe Bolliger is here. Bob Riley. Christina Orozco is in chat. Nick is in chat. Said, what should I buy? Typically, I recommend that you guys pay off all of your consumer debt, that being anything other than your mortgage first. After that, I want you to be investing in something for the long term that you're going to consider retirement, whether that be 401k with a match, whether that be a Roth IRA in some kind of mutual fund, index fund, or ETF, or stock market, or the market, the S&P 500 ETF, or buying into Bitcoin and Ethereum for the long term to hold it back for retirement. After that, then I recommend that you invest in a broad base of cryptocurrencies, probably about 10 to 30, depending on how much time and bandwidth you have to manage that portfolio. First and foremost, in cryptocurrency, I think that no portfolio is complete without Bitcoin, which is going to be held for the long term as its core component. Arturo Mejia is in chat, said, hey, Jeb, hello. The Renshin operator is in chat. Cosmin B's in chat. Cynthia Dizon, Museum of Corruption. Marley 123rd. Michael C. Rowan's World is in chat. Alex Rodriguez is in chat. Blaine O. Marquez called out. Mike Lowry's in chat. Said, be like Mike and smash the like. Thumbs up. Absolutely. Crypto Mini Bike is in chat. Anthony said, good morning, Jeb. How is your day going so far? Pretty well. Going relatively well. A little bit tired. Like I said, we are very sick right now. I do apologize. People are cashing in their 401ks to stay in their homes and put bread on the table, and now Bitcoin's going to the moon. Makes good sense. For real. All right. Are we bullish on ETH now? I certainly am, Micah Hall. Grand Roofing Incorporated said, good morning, Jeb. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to everybody. Good deal. Jeb, I got a new 365-day devotional book. Love it. Luis Espana said, good morning from China. Shout out to China. Good deal. All right. Let's get started. We've got a lot to cover. Over on the cryptocurrency charts, we can see that Bitcoin is currently trading at nearly $69,000. Up at $68,763. Ethereum is at $35.24. Hopefully, you guys were able to load up some bags down there in that $3,300 range. Wonderful range to be acquiring Ethereum, in my humble opinion. Solana is sitting at $192. It is up nearly 10% in the last 24 hours, but still down in the last 7 days. Dogecoin has gone into a big rally this week, up 22% in the last 7 days. Cardano, on the other hand, has been trading mostly sideways. Toncoin looking like it wants to breach into the top 10 to come above Avalanche. It is up nearly 50% in the last 7 days. Very big rally going on there, of course. Bitcoin Cash is up 25% over the last 7 days. ICP has finally kickstarted its rally. It's up 20% in the last 24 hours, up 40% in the last 7 days. Very excited about that. Knew a big rally on ICP would be coming. Uniswap sitting at 12. It has rallied 2.46% in the last 7 days. And Near Protocol up 13% in the last 24 hours. Very big movements coming out of the altcoins. And what you are seeing here on CoinMarketCap very clearly reflects the reality of what's going on Bitcoin. We originally predicted back on, I think, Tuesday, which would be right about here, we predicted that there would be between a 10 and 20% drop, about 15 to 25% drop, somewhere in that range, 10 to 25%, but probably hovering around 15 to 20% drop coming at some point. And the reason that we said that was because there was this rising wedge right here. We had this flat top of resistance at $73,000, and a lot of people decided, no, Jeb doesn't know what he's talking about. No, there's never going to be a correction. No, Jeb, things are just going to go to the moon forever, and it's never going to stop rallying. And guess what happened? You were wrong. I'm sorry, but the fact of the matter is the market crashes sometimes. And there's always that one person that says, no, Jeb, I know what I'm doing. I've been here for 2 days. I know exactly. The market's going to go up forever because that's the way it works. The market probably will go up in general for decades. But my friend, welcome to the space if you are not familiar with the fact that the market's going to crash sometimes. You are going to have a correction on Bitcoin sometimes, and you had better be ready for it. Because let me tell you something. There are 2 ways to learn a lesson. The easy way, where you learn it without the consequences, and the hard way where you learn it with the consequences. And I know that there is somebody that listened to me last Tuesday. Actually, it might have been the Tuesday before that. It was the Tuesday before that. I'm sorry. I know somebody listened to me the Tuesday before last, about 2 weeks ago now, where I said, do not go into a leverage long position and beware because a major drop may be coming. So make sure you have cash to load up your bags. Remember, I was saying that. I was shouting that from the rooftops right here. And I know that there's at least one of you guys that went into a leverage long anyway. I know there's one of you that didn't listen. And you said, nope, this time's going to be Bitcoin's going to moonshot. My friends, Bitcoin is going to moonshot, but there is a way that this works. Bitcoin is cyclical. Say it with me. When I want my 3-year-old to remember something, you know what I do? I make him repeat it to me like 10 flipping times. And then he'll remember it because that's how you memorize something. When I'm memorizing a verse of scripture, I will repeat it to myself out loud without looking 50 times to memorize it into my brain. I memorize scripture almost every single day. That is my process. You repeat it to yourself over and over and over again. And in the same way, I am going to drill it into your flipping head. Markets correct sometimes. And if you are not prepared for that, my friend, you are going to get wiped out. And the reason it gets me so worked up is because I've seen so many people lose their life savings in cryptocurrency. I want to just level with you and make this very clear. You can make a lot of money in crypto, but if you do it wrong, you will lose a lot of money in crypto, and I don't want that for you. I don't want you to lose so much money in crypto that you get burned and say, forget this, I'm out, I'm going somewhere else. There is opportunity here, but if you don't understand how to play this market correctly, my friend, I am almost guaranteeing you that you are going to get burned. You know the difference between gambling and investment? First of all, gambling is a want because it's not an investment. It's a want, and it's okay to spend money on things that you want, but don't treat it like an investment. If you go to the table in Caesar's Palace and you line up at blackjack, you are, unless you know how to count cards, you are doing a want there. It's called gambling. The only difference between gambling and investment is knowledge of the market, its history, how it typically works, so that you can have understanding of how that market works, so that you can be wise with that market. I've been doing this for almost 7 years. And one of the things you're going to run into is that when Bitcoin, and this is going to sound common sense and dumb, right? When Bitcoin has a giant rally, expect a crash. Wow, man. That was rocket science. That was, whoa. Here's the takeaway, because I don't want to just yell at you. The takeaway here is that Bitcoin is going to go into correction sometimes. Two things. The first implication of that, do not day trade unless you know what you're doing. Let me say it again for the people in the back. Do not, in case you're not in the spit zone right here, let me just say it again so you might be. If you do not know what you're doing, do not day trade. And if you're trying to learn how to day trade, you start with paper trading in a very small amount of capital. I'm talking 1% of the portfolio. You start out as an investor and you earn your stripes to be a day trader if that's the direction you go. And it is okay if you don't. It's okay if you don't day trade. You're no less of a cryptocurrency enthusiast if you don't day trade. So number one, you be very careful with day trading. Number two, you make sure that you are building a basis of investment where you are being opportunistic and not trying to tell the market what to do. What a lot of you guys want to do when you get into the space is you want to say, market, you're going down on this day, as if you had any control over that whatsoever. Market, you're going down on this day, so when you do, I'm going to short. No, 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 no. What you should instead say is, if the market goes down on this day, then I will do X, Y, Z in the third. If the market rallies on this day, then I will be prepared in such and such way. Back here, I was saying the market's going to more than likely go down. So if that occurs, then I want you to, one, not be in a leveraged long trade because you're going to get wiped out. If you go into a spot long trade, then you can just roll it over into the portfolio, into the investment portfolio, and forget about it. And in a couple of months, it'll be in profit anyway. But if it's on leverage, you can't hold it for that long because you'll get stopped out. Or you'll get liquidated, or the exchange will kick you out and take their money back and give it to somebody else. Because remember, leverage is a form of debt, so be careful with it. The other thing was we want to be opportunistic and have a pile of cash. So if we go into a correction, we can buy. During this whole correction, which we told you guys was coming, we gave it a very high likelihood it was going to happen at some point in the next month. It ended up happening just a few days later. At this point, this is where we be opportunistic and we say, okay, we're going to add more money. Instead of dollar cost averaging $100 a week, we're going to put $150. Instead of dollar cost averaging $1,000 a week, we're going to put in $1,250. We're going to put in $2,000, whatever it may be. And now the exciting bit, and Bitcoin jumped ahead of me. Bitcoin, you were supposed to wait like 10 minutes. My friend, I was about to get to this, but now we're trading at 69,420 because it's trying to just laugh at me. What I was getting to is that we've got this rounding bottom going on here. We've got this nice round bottom. Ha ha ha. Welcome to adulthood. It's not funny anymore. No, I'm just kidding. We've got this nice rounded bottom right here. Bitcoin has higher highs and higher, we had lower lows, then we had higher highs. We had lower highs, and now we're putting into play a higher low. People call this a Cheshire cat formation, although to my knowledge, there is no technically agreed upon definition of what this pattern is called. But we saw something similar to it happen on Solana not long ago. If you look out here on the 4-hourly chart, you can see something very similar happened here. We had the rounded bottom, and we also had the rounding tops on Solana, and we ended up just taking a pretty standard price target off of it, same way you would off of just about any formation, and it gave us a price target up here towards about 160. We ended up hitting that. So we've got historical precedent on a related market that this, if you want to call it Cheshire cat formation, is going to more than likely end up being bullish, and it makes sense because now we have higher highs and higher lows. The thing I want to watch out for here is that these higher highs and higher lows are actually forming yet another ascending triangle pattern, as you can see right here. So I'm not going to just say, all right, correction's over until I have a little bit more information, but I am starting to be more bullish on Bitcoin, especially considering the fact that we've had some pretty major rallies over just the last few hours. If we look at the Crypto Jeb Oscillator, which we built in partnership with Lux Algo, then you can see that our bullish strength here on the hourly chart is moving to the upside very dramatically. By the way, some of these bullish divergences like this one, absolutely beautiful. We had this bullish divergence here on the Crypto Jeb Oscillator. Market rallied 7% almost immediately after the bullish divergence flashed. And just so you know, it was predictive. Here's where the bullish divergence showed up. How's about that for predictive power? Holy cow, came up at the exact bottom. Love it. We also saw something similar happen over here. Bullish divergence. went into a little bit of a rally here. So very excited about the Crypto Jeb Oscillator. If you are interested in getting the Crypto Jeb Oscillator, you can go to luxalgo.com/Jeb. I'll show you here. Go to luxalgo.com/Jeb. You can see the Crypto Jeb logo right here on the LuxAlgo's website, and you can also see the exclusive Crypto Jeb Oscillator. So you can see all of the different components over here and sign up for it if you are interested. The fact of the matter is, though, on Bitcoin, we have a major rally coming in right now on Bitcoin. And many of the altcoins are starting to rally as well. And it leads me to this conclusion that while it is not completely confirmed, I do believe that we are moving in the direction of a confirmed uptrend. If we were to look at the LuxAlgo technical indicator here, the LuxAlgo Premium technical indicator, you're going to see that we are almost back up at the stop loss. We are almost back up to the stop loss of this sell signal. This sell signal came in. Just remove all the drawings. This sell signal came in, gave us a take profit down here at about 61,400. That is literally exactly where we went. And again, if you're not sure that this was predictive, I will prove to you that it was. Sell signal came in, take profits down there, move forward at the speed of a turtle, and we will see that, maybe a little faster than a turtle, maybe a hair. There we go. You can see that that's exactly what it ended up happening. Guys, if you don't have LuxAlgo, I definitely recommend you sign up for it. Use the link down below, luxalgo.com/Jeb. You're going to get access to all the technical indicators. There's hundreds of them in there. These are the two main ones that I show you. But the point here is that we're getting close to the stop loss, and we're also well above the red trend catcher right here, which denotes that we may be about to see a bullish buy signal coming in on Bitcoin. And that stands to reason because we're having a large rally on Bitcoin, and also the altcoins are doing very well. So Lana, for example, is almost back towards its all-time high. We've got a green buy signal here on LuxAlgo. Looking over here, of course, as we talked about, a lot of your favorite altcoins are going into pretty large rallies. Binance being one of them. Ethereum's doing relatively well. Dogecoin doing well. Cardano's actually doing okay. Avalanche up 10%, Toncoin up 50% in the last 7 days. A lot of rallies coming in. I do expect by the end of this week, you will be seeing a new all-time high being set on Bitcoin. And one final thing I want to mention on that as to why that may occur. I want to show you this box, this blue box. I'll delete it and bring it back right here. This box right, not that one. This blue box right here, the one I just deleted and brought back. That blue box represents 42 days from when we broke above the 0.618 to 0.65 Fibonacci golden pocket on, I'm sorry, above the point, excuse me, let's go to the regular here. Above the 0.618, above 0.786 here on the daily chart. If we look back into the last bull market, the reason that we have 42 days there is because after we broke 0.786, which meant that we were very close to all-time high, 42 days later, Bitcoin would break all-time high with confidence and essentially start its moonshot journey. We are now, at this point in time, about 40 days out from when we broke above that level, which denotes to us that if we follow the last bull market's trajectory, that we will likely be going into a major rally very soon. Now, if we look on the hourly chart, one thing I do want to mention here is that we do have a head and shoulders pattern forming. Shoulder, head, shoulder. But with this rally that we're seeing recently, the shoulder, head, and shoulder pattern is starting to be broken, because if this were actually a head and shoulders pattern the last about week or so, pretty much ever since Friday, we would have been going to the downside. And the price target would have been down around 51. That doesn't seem to be what's going to happen right now. And if Bitcoin can get any degree of volume, then we're likely going to see a major rally forming from here. Now, let's go ahead and read chat for a second, and then we're going to talk a little bit about this news, which I do believe is going to be part of the reason why we are going to go into a major rally relatively soon. If you guys are enjoying today's stream, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned, because we've got a lot more content lined up for you. Crypto Jeb, can you show the LuxAlgo signals? Yes, I think you said that before I showed them, so there you go. All right, guys, we've got 750 people watching live right now. Can we go ahead and get to 200 likes? I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Bulls go to war, stocks and Bitcoin and gold. Yep. Bears are going to Goblin Town. Not sure what that means, but sounds about right. Roderick Dobson said, Jeb, hi. Malvin Mahungu is in chat. Thank you so much for the donation. I do appreciate that. Say, can we get a quick TA on Arweave later or something, man? Or something, man. Let's go with the or something. Let's see. Can we do some analysis on or something? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'll look at Arweave. Let's look at Arweave. Arweave is currently ranked number 50 on CoinMarketCap. It has gone through a 13% rally in the last 24 hours. And if we look at its all-time history, you can see it's actually already broken above its prior all-time high on market capitalization. As far as price is concerned, it has not. And the reason for that is because there was a good deal of inflation ever since the previous all-time high that was set on November 7th, 2021, right alongside Bitcoin. At that point in time, Arweave was trading worth $2.55 billion. It is currently worth $2.7 billion. It's currently trading at $41.02. The good news is it is almost fully diluted. There's only 66 million in existence. 65.5 million have been released, so that is a good sign. Heading on over to Arweave's website, their permanent information storage. This is a really cool idea because you basically, online, there are a lot of ways to store information. But what you want to make sure that you're doing is storing information in a permanent, immutable way. So the Arweave network is like Bitcoin, but for data, a permanent and decentralized web inside an open ledger. Permanent storage has many applications from the preservation of humanity's most important data to the hosting of truly decentralized and provable neutral web applications. The Arweave protocol is stable, mature, and widely adopted. As such, its ecosystem is fully decentralized. This side is just the tip of the iceberg. It acts as a map that points you to places you can learn about, use, and build on Arweave. Dive in, the rabbit hole is deep, and the possibilities are endless. The cool thing about Arweave, like I said, is that it's actually got a specific purpose. There are a lot of cryptocurrencies that are aiming to be a layer 1 blockchain right now. My friend, that's a little bit like trying to build an Apple to compete with Apple at this point. Cardano, Solana, and Ethereum, and Avalanche, those are the biggest names in that game. When you're building a layer 2 application, not even so much a layer 2 application, but when you're building a new blockchain, you want to make sure that you actually have a purpose, and Arweave does have an actual purpose. It's actually doing something specific. It's not just a broad thing where, oh, well, we'll build a platform and then the developers can come and build on top of us. Well, we've already got a lot of that. We've already got a lot of platforms. We don't need more platforms. We need application-specific decentralized protocols, which is what Arweave is. So, good project from what I can tell. I am pretty excited. It's only worth $2.7 billion, and I think that there is definitely room to run on Arweave this bull market. Let's read some more chat here. Tom Skoog? I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. Said, hello, Jeb. First time on the live. One of the best out there. Can you please magic sprinkle on ADA so we can be rich? Well, I can't put any magic sprinkles on... Yeah, I can't put magic sprinkles on ADA. But what I can do is I can give you the secret formula to becoming rich. I can tell you how to be rich, guaranteed. If you do not fall under oppression or circumstance. If you are not enslaved, if you live in a capitalistic country where you actually have the ability to own stuff, and you have an able body, I can give you a formula where I guarantee you will be successful with money. Without a doubt. Again, disregarding the very real possibility out there that you're enslaved. Or the very real possibility that some crazy circumstance happened, like a meteor hit your house and your insurance company goes bankrupt on the same day. You want to know how to be successful with money? Here's the way you be successful with money. First of all, you commit to following and believing, because it starts with belief, these 6 laws of money. There are 6 things, exactly 6 things that you do with money that make you successful or not. The very first one of those is that you choose financial sovereignty. You know what financial sovereignty means? Financial sovereignty means that from this day forward, I am the one in charge of my life, period, full stop. If something goes wrong, we can pout and whine and complain about it like a little baby, or we can decide, no, actually, I'm going to grow from this and I'm going to be better. I'll give you an example. This morning, I was taking my son to school. This is actually why we were late, so I do apologize for this, but I learned. We were almost to my son's preschool. Almost to my son's preschool. And I thought to myself, I don't remember grabbing his shoes. I wonder if the shoes are in the car. And I thought to myself, no, because I remember us bringing them in the car. Crap. I'm going to be late. So I had to turn around and go get his shoes and come back. And you know what I realized in my mind? And this is an hour ago, guys. I realized in my mind, when something goes wrong, I can decide I'm not in control of my life and just whine and pout and fuss and complain about it and say, oh my God, You know people like that. Something goes wrong, and there's you know, that's them. They're really animated, like, just the world's over. I forgot the shoes. Cursing up a storm, ticked off. The other thing you can do when something doesn't go your way is say, I am going to be in control of myself and of the situation, and I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to grow from it, and I put an extra pair of shoes in the trunk of the car, and I said, from now on, we are always having an extra pair of shoes in the car, period. That's just the way it's going to be. That's just what's going to happen. because I am not going to be late places because I forgot my kid's shoes. I'm going to make sure there's an extra pair in the car, period. All right? That is me enacting sovereignty over that situation. First over myself, because if you can get control of the guy in the mirror, you will be in control of the life that the guy in the mirror has to deal with. Right? Law number one of money is we have to be financially sovereign. We have to decide right now that we are going to be the ones in charge of our life financially, period. And we're not going to blame it on other people. We're not going to blame it on the government. We're not going to blame it on our ethnicity. Oh, well, I'm Hispanic. I don't know how to invest. You know what that's called? That's called racism. There's a word for that. Oh, well, I'm Italian. I can't help it but getting angry. There's a word for that. That's called being a racist. Right? I can't help it. I'm XYZ in the third ethnicity. I'm XYZ in the third background. I don't know how to make money. That's what's called being racist. Just because you're a member of that race doesn't mean it's not racist, okay? So we are going to take control of our financial destiny and say, I'm going to be in charge. That is the first law of money. If you want to be good at money, then you take control of your life and you accept nothing short of total self-control, which can only be found through the Lord Jesus Christ. And then you say, I'm going to exert that self-control on the world around me and gain control over the substance and the possessions and the time that is around me. Because I am not going to sit around and play the victim and wait on the government or somebody else to bail me out, because I don't have anybody that's going to come and fight for me the way that if I make a decision to, that I will. Period. Thank God Almighty, people are starting to realize that. Second law of money, you got to have a written plan. Nobody ever just shows up a billionaire and says, I don't know. I just one day I woke up and now I'm a billionaire. No. They had a plan for how they were going to get there. The second law of money is taught best by Jesus. Jesus says that a man set out to build a tower and he didn't count the cost. So he gets halfway up the tower, runs out of materials, runs out of money, and he can't finish the tower. And so all the townspeople look around at him at this half-built tower, and they look at him, and they laugh at him and mock him and call him an idiot because he didn't count the cost before he built the tower. You have a written plan for money. That is the second law of money. Third law of money. You live on less than you make. You always live in a profit. You always have a discretionary budget. I was just coaching somebody last week, and they said, I feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And they said, I think it's because we only have so much cash on hand. And he added up the cash, and I asked him, well, how much would that last you with your fixed expenses? He says, probably 3 to 5 months. I said, so you actually have a fully funded emergency fund. My friend, you do not feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck because you don't have cash. You feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck because you are living paycheck to paycheck. You've got all these things that are eating up your funds, and you have no discretionary budget. So after all the necessities are paid, you've got like a 10% margin. So it does feel like you're living on paycheck to paycheck because you are. You can live paycheck to paycheck on $1 million a year income. If you're spending $900,000 a year on fixed expenses, the reason you feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck is because you're spending more money every month, or because you're living on more than you can afford, because you've got too many fixed expenses or the income's too low. Third law of money. Very simple. Again, remember what I said at the beginning. I guarantee you, if you do these things, you will be successful with money. Period. This is not open for debate. We don't argue about whether or not gravity is a thing. It is a scientific fact. This is a law of the universe. When you live on less than you make, you have money to build wealth with. You have money to get out of debt with. You have money to enjoy, and you have money to be generous with. Fourth law of money, I just mentioned it. You get out of debt because the Bible says, and we know this from direct observation in our own world, that the borrower is slave to the lender. When you owe somebody money, they have shackles on you. They have bond on you. They have bound you in debt. It is a spiritual as well as a financial and just a logical reality. Fifth law of money is that you got to build wealth by saving, also paying off debt, and investing. You guys are pretty good at that. That's why you're here in the cryptocurrency space, because you're trying to invest in the cryptocurrency market to build wealth. And the sixth law of money, if you do these things, then you will be successful with money, I guarantee you, short of you're actually oppressed. And the sixth law of money is you be generous. You know why? Because people like you. People like a generous person. They want to do business with you again. You know why? If I'm late somewhere, which I do my very best not to be, but it is something I struggle with sometimes, and you guys know that. People are generally pretty generous with me. I hope to think, because I've tried to be generous with other people, and so they return the favor. You know, that's the one that's normally not very hard to teach people, but sometimes people sometimes people want to argue with me that being generous is a good thing. My response to that is, listen, I bet you were very fun at parties. I bet you have a really fun life. I bet people really want to be around you. I bet you're never lonely. Now, the fact of the matter is, if we want a good life, that we need to be generous with others. That's the ultimate way that we find joy. If you want to get rich, then take the victim mentality and flush it down the freaking toilet and stop making your situation everybody else's fault and look in the mirror and say it's your fault. That's what I've had to do in the past when I've screwed up royally, which is why I'm very opinionated on this subject, because I've had to do that. I've had to look myself in the mirror with shame and say, it's your fault. You did this. Your life sucks right now. It was on you. In the words of Bill Gates, if you're born poor, that ain't your fault. If you die poor, generally, that's your fault. There are exceptions. There are genuinely times where you are minding your own business, walking down the street, and somebody jumps out and kidnaps you, and now you're a slave. I get that. There are genuinely times where a meteor hits your house and the insurance company goes broke on the same day. My friend, I don't know if that's ever happened. If it has happened to you, then I'm sorry. You are the unluckiest person on planet Earth. But there are genuinely circumstances. Your childhood is a circumstance, right? The things that you were taught. You open your mouth, your parents come out. You've ever had that happen? I've had that happen. I know I've had that happen. Good and bad, right? Circumstances and oppression genuinely cannot be changed. But the fact of the matter is the people that succeed realize that they are going to be under stuff is real. It is out there. And people are genuinely going to have to go through circumstances. Nobody has a perfect life. The people that get wealthy are the people that say, I am going to take as much control over the situation as I possibly can, and I'm not going to let oppression or circumstance or lack of work ethic stop me from getting where I am going. Yeah, but the game is rigged. Lighten up. The game has always been rigged. Name one time in human history that the game has not been rigged. It's been rigged against us from birth. If we let that stop us, then we will be held down forever. That's why I love the principles of financial sovereignty, because they go so closely hand in hand with crypto. The purpose of cryptocurrency, of blockchain, is to render control out of the hands of those that want to bind us with financial bondage and put it back in our hands. We've got to stop playing the victim. It's okay to be honest about, hey, I've got this injury. Hey, man, I am paralyzed. I am, I grew up in a severely racist neighborhood and they injured me. It's okay to be honest about these things. And my heart breaks for you if you're in one of those situations. It's okay to be honest about them. But what we've got to focus on is what we can control. And maybe what we can control is getting away from the jerks. I've got a boss that's oppressing me, so quit. Don't work for him. But it's going to be hard. Well, quit. It's an integrity thing. I don't want to work with you if I can't trust you and there's no integrity. I would rather go through some pain for the next 3 months while I try and find another job than have to be under that. Somebody's oppressing you, get the frick away from them if you're able to. I'm just so tired of people playing the victim, because what happens is that here's the reason that playing the victim doesn't work. Because you put the control over your life in the hands of the people that you say hate you. Why would you do that? You're telling me that they hate you. So why are you going to put your destiny in their hands if they hate you? Get away from them. Get away from them. Have nothing to do with them. Remove thy foot from her house. Come not nigh the door of her house. Get away from them. George K. just donated £5. Said, Jeb, love the oscillator, but just to note that the flags get formed 4 to 5 candles after the point you see them paint. Really? I have not seen that. I'll look into that, George. I haven't seen that, but okay. I don't think that's the case, but I will look at that. Devarati Roy just donated $5. Said, Jeb, never even heard you spell out XRP. Well, now you have. Now you have heard me spell out XRP. I think Ripple has done a very good job fighting back against the SEC, and I think that XRP is going to be able to perform very well. The issue is that it was beat down so much by the SEC that it's really going to take some time for it to pick itself back up. And the thing to keep in mind, guys, is that XRP is not like a person where it can say, screw my circumstance, I'm going to take my life into my own hands. It's a technology. So it doesn't exactly have the ability to just do that. So I'm hoping that it will be, take off, but it's going to definitely have a lot to, it's got a lot of room to run. All right. Just took some profits from BTC. Awesome. Good job. I'm not taking profits yet, but I'll be totally honest with you. When you take profits, you make money. So good job. Have been a hard few years mentally, but we keep fighting. I'm from Sweden, so can't blame the government. Yeah, no, for Sweden, definitely. Sweden's a very interesting one. Here's the fact of the matter. I would rather offend you for the next 20 minutes and then make sure that you have a hard pill that you swallow and it changes your life. I don't like offending people. Believe it or not, I don't like getting in people's face and telling them that, hey, this is wrong. And by the way, that's not how I handle it in coaching, because I can feel somebody out. I can feel out whether we're on the same team or not. If you think debt's a good idea, I'm not on the same team with you. I'm sorry, but that's just not the way the world works. I'm going to play the arbitrage game. I'm going to borrow it at 2%. I'm going to make 4%. My friend, you forgot to factor in take into account the fact that debt carries risk, and there's also the fact where you're participating in a system that is intended to keep people in bondage. The reason that people don't like bankers, you know what? Have you ever thought to yourself, man, everybody says they don't like bankers, but I don't understand. What's so bad about bankers? Have you ever had that thought? Because I've had that thought. What's the deal with that? Like, why do people dislike bankers so much? You know why people dislike bankers and credit card companies so much? Because they make their money by taking your money. They make their money by you paying them interest instead of having that money in your own budget to be able to build wealth with, invest in crypto with. That's why people don't like bankers. At the core of it is because they make their money off of interest. That's why people don't like credit card companies, because it's a filthy business model. I'm sorry. Especially credit card companies. Banks a lot of times charge 2, 3, 4, 5% interest. They're barely charging above effective federal funds rate. But when you have credit cards or auto loans charging 20 or 22%, I told somebody on a financial coaching call the other day, I said, he was being charged 22% on a personal loan. I said, pay that thing off like it's cancer, because it is, and do it, have a vendetta on it. Like, don't hate the individual, but whoever signed that loan to you ought to be ashamed of themselves for giving you a personal loan, which this guy had a track record with debt. I mean, as far as people that had debt go, he didn't always paid on time, all that. Gave him a 22% personal loan. I said, just even before financially, out of principle, get the flip away from that guy. That dude that wrote you that, and that company that he works for, ought to be ashamed of themselves for charging you 22% interest. What happened to the couch thief? Need an update. Well, unfortunately, we didn't actually have any information on him. I thought that we had his phone number, but we didn't. And there's just, we tried to find him and enact justice. But here's the thing, guys. Unfortunately, I was not able to do anything about the beanbag thief. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't escape God. It doesn't escape God. He sees it. And believe it or not, because it's thievery, that's one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not steal, he won't escape God. And on Judgment Day, if he has not given his life to Christ, even for that petty theft, he will be held account. We must give our life to the Lord and accept forgiveness for that. My car loan is at 19%. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry for you. Holy cow. Go into the website. Look at the amortization. Look at the payments and see how much of your, let's say it's a $400 payment. Probably $100 of that, probably less than that actually, probably less than $100 a month is going to the principal. Probably over 3/4 of it is going toward, I'm trying to get out of it as soon as possible. Good. The hybrid family. My friend, either one, sell the car and be done with it and buy something that you can afford to pay in cash, or, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, just sell the car. I don't even have any other information. I'm going to tell you sell the car, because that is the fastest way to be out of business with that guy. 19% is absolutely insane. $20 a month is $520 a month. I'm sorry, $520 a month. Yeah, go into the website. I bet you about $100 of that. I bet you about $100 of that is going towards the principal. Sell the thing, buy it in cash. Sell the thing, buy a car in cash. Because here's the deal. If you are paying $400 a month in interest towards an auto loan, first and foremost, you're just making these bankers that, since you're in cryptocurrency, you say you don't like, even richer. So why would you do that? But the second reason The only reason why we did it is because we adopted 3 children and absolutely needed a van. That makes sense. If you absolutely cannot sell the car, if there's a good, to be honest with you, your name's the hybrid family. I'm not going to lie. You said $520 a month. Your name's the hybrid family. I was thinking that it was a Tesla. I was thinking it was $520 a month. I was thinking it was a big fancy Tesla. If you absolutely cannot sell the car, then live on as little as you possibly can and pay that crap off as fast as you can. I'm not saying to liquidate investments necessarily to do it, but I am saying you do not have a life until you have paid that car off. Why not get a secondhand minivan for under $10,000? Well, I'm assuming that they may have actually more children than that. Listen, adopting 3 kids, man, I wish you were on a, man, I'm going to start opening up spots so that I can talk to you guys live on air. I wish I could talk to you directly about that. That is a very interesting situation. You have a very awesome life because you just adopted 3 children. And by the way, good for you. That is amazing. That's so cool. That is so cool. Man, that's cool. But you got enough on your plate because we've got 2 kids. So I kind of know how it is. But we didn't have 3 all at once. When I got married, I immediately was a father. So I understand to some degree what, like, man, we just had a bunch of new responsibilities. They're good responsibilities, but responsibilities come into our life. You don't need the load on your mind of, oh my gosh, I'm paying $450 a month in interest because I'm getting ripped off. By the way, if you are ever going to, for some god-awful reason, get an auto loan, which is one of the worst loans you can get, that and a credit card. Those are the last 2 pieces of debt I'll ever encourage you to do. Nope, the paid-off car is a Prius. Okay, there we go. So, there you go. If you're able to go down to a 1-car family, and maybe you're not, maybe you both have jobs. It might not be possible, but if it's possible, sell the Prius, throw it at the car, pay it off. You might not be able to go down to a 1-car family. If not, then you're just going to have to live on duct tape and toothpicks until you pay that thing off. But yeah, you don't need the burden of 19% interest. Oh, I know what I was going to say. If you are ever, for some reason, going to get an auto loan, do not tell them about the circumstance that makes you need a car right then. Because they're going to say, all right, I can charge you 19% interest, and you're just going to say yes because you don't have the time or the bandwidth to go somewhere else and get another option. Man, I'm so sorry. Either sell that car or pay it off or refinance it. Do something. Stick it to the man, dude. Whoever gave you that loan, figure out a way to get out of debt as quickly as possible and stick it to that guy. Somebody said 19% should be made illegal to charge. Yeah. Ultimately, it being legal kind of makes sense, but the fact of the matter is, because ultimately people are going to take it, unfortunately. But yeah, that's absolutely absurd. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Jaden Gillett said, didn't know you were a Christian, just earned a subscriber from that alone. Praise God. Absolutely, I am. Love my Lord. So sad. Yep, that is sad. It is sad. Guys, every time I talk to one of you, I've gotten to the point where when I'm doing financial coaching calls with you guys, which you can find a link down below if you're interested. When I'm doing financial coaching calls with you guys, I can normally tell within like a minute or 2 of when you join the call that you're in debt. And the reason is because there's a lack of confidence. There's not even so much a lack of confidence. There's this like, it is that, but there's this almost angst. That's the word I'm looking for. There's this angst. And I remember I had one call not long ago, because I'm doing calls almost every day right now. I did this call and this guy joined the call. And I love my coaching clients, by the way. You guys are awesome. You guys are so good. I'm always getting such good people in those calls. You guys are learning and growing and humble and willing to grow and change. It's so great. But he joined the call and I could hear something in his voice. We were talking about crypto and I was like, hang on, back up a minute. Do you have any debt? He said, oh, yeah. And he started listening. I was like, oh, we'll talk about crypto because that's what, but we got to address this for a second because I want a goal for when you make $250,000 or whatever in cryptocurrency to throw it at some debt. And we talked about the debt. He's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jeff. Because the fact of the matter is, debt is slavery and it is bondage. What about mortgage debt? It is the kind of debt that I am going to yell at you the least likely for. But if you have a 5% interest rate, which is not very high, on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, every dollar you pay into the mortgage, you save $3 on interest. That's what we call a 3x on your money because a dollar saved is a dollar earned. If you put $1 into a mortgage in the first few years of a 5% mortgage, you're going to save $3 on interest. Let me tell you why even at your 2.25% mortgage is still something you should get out of. Because you paid $400,000. You paid $400,000 for the house. And because of the interest, the house is going to cost you $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000, depending on the interest rate, especially with interest rates right now. So either one, take out a 15-year mortgage and have a smaller house, or two, pay that sucker off fast. And the reason is because if you buy a $400,000 house and you think it's going to go to $450,000, so I'm going to make money, but you pay $250,000 on the interest, then my friend, you pay $200,000 to live in that house. Real estate is a good investment if you are not having to pay the interest payments. Because if you buy a house with a mortgage on it, then the mortgage company, the mortgage broker, not the mortgage broker, I'm sorry, the people that own the mortgage, the bank that owns the mortgage, they are the ones making the money, not you, them. So the mortgage is the last thing I want you to pay off as far as debt is concerned, but I do want you to pay it off. Every single one of you can remember a time that you were not in financial debt. Go back to that place in your mind and remember how it felt. Two words are probably going to pop into your mind. You're probably going to feel the word free and peace. Go back in your mind and remember a time that you had absolutely no debt. Do you feel free and do you feel peace? I'm going to wager the answer is yes. Now, you may be more wealthy today than you were back then, but did you have more peace back then? I'm willing to bet on just about every single one of you that if you're honest with yourself, the answer is yes, you did have more peace. What about mortgage debt, 2.7%? Listen, it's one of the cheapest forms of debt. That is the last form of debt I want you to pay off. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of opportunity right now. So if you know how to make a bunch of money in the short term, then maybe you can pause paying money on the mortgage. But, I do want you to invest before you pay off the mortgage, to be very crystal clear. But we've been debt snowballing everything in the van's the last thing. Awesome. Love it. I'm so happy for you. Good. Hey, listen, if you can afford to pay off the van, that's fine. Also, the cool thing about 19% interest, is the only cool thing about 19% interest, every dollar you put into that van, you're probably saving like $5 in interest. It's a pretty big ROI. All right, guys, we're going to have to wrap it out pretty soon. I do appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Bitcoin is about to go on a massive run. I do want to just kind of wrap around to our news story of the day, and that is Bitcoin ETFs become the hottest product in BlackRock Fidelity's repertoire of funds. IBIT and FBTC have had net inflows for, they account for more than half of the year-to-date net inflows for both companies in less than 50 days of trading. That is a huge deal. That means they are some of the best performing assets. They are the best performing assets in BlackRock and in Fidelity's lineup of funds. They are both managing almost $10 trillion of funds each. That's a big deal. Those are their best performing ETFs. They are both also on 49-day streaks of inflows, which are some of the longest, some of the biggest streaks in the history of the entire market. I believe somewhere in this article it said that there were only ever 30 other ETFs that have ever one time achieved a streak like that. Absolutely crazy. Such consistent performance is exceptional, with only 30 other ETFs ever having achieved a similar streak of inflows, and none from their launch like the two funds have. This is record-breaking. Be clear on this. This is record-breaking. We have never seen something like this before in the stock market. Absolutely crazy. We're going to see a lot of exposure in Bitcoin coming soon, and this will also make it very hard to argue against the Ethereum ETFs. Very, 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 very difficult. Good deal. Rent out a section of that house, have somebody else pay the interest. Here's the issue with doing that. If you've ever done real estate, you know that sometimes renters don't pay. Sometimes renters don't pay. Sometimes you don't have a renter. And sometimes something breaks. And if you've got a 10% margin, you can end up having a much larger margin by not having any debt on there. Cash flows like crazy if you don't have any interest on the house. Absolutely nuts. Debt is an incredible tool for building wealth when you use it the right way. Yes, and being an indentured servant will lead you to being richer than the guy that has your contract. You're making money, but all the while you're an indentured servant, you are essentially a slave. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Debt is debt, irrespective of what type of debt. If one's beholden to someone or some institution, the emotion is the same. Homes are not assets. Assets create income. Homes are liabilities. If you have a house that's paid for, then it does become more of an asset because it'll appreciate. There's a few different ways you can make money from real estate. Either one, you can rent it out and have cash flow. Number two, you can have the depreciation. And three, there's ways that you can write it off on taxes. If you are living in it, then you remove the income portion of the equation because you're not having a rental payment, a rent check coming in, but you are still able to actually take advantage of the depreciation. If you have any mortgage at all on a property, you are not making money, and you live in it, then it is 100% a liability because you are going to end up paying more money on the interest than you will ever make in the appreciation of the property. I don't care if it's a 2% mortgage. You're still going to end up paying more money on the debt than you will ever get in the appreciation of the property unless you get rid of the debt. You will start making more money than the debt after the mortgage is over, which is what I'm saying. And if you live in it, of course, you don't have the income. Owning property / acquiring assets is a good thing, but only if acquired, paying for those assets using cash. Yes. And listen, if you guys have real estate, I'm not saying you have to sell all of it today because you have a mortgage on it. What I am saying is make haste to pay the sucker off. Because I tell you what, your cash-on-cash return and your IRR, those are the two things you measure in rental property. Cash-on-cash return and your internal rate of return, which is cash-on-cash income, plus a few other variables, those are going to be 4 or 5 times higher if you don't have a mortgage payment on it. And they cash flow like absolute craziness because you're not paying for the interest. It is not as simple as the rental income covers the mortgage. Here's a thing about mortgages, guys. They don't stop coming due every month, but renters do stop paying sometimes. Quite often, actually. I don't care how good of a mortgage company you have or how great your renter is. Sometimes the renter goes broke and they can't afford the mortgage. So you're in a position where I have a mortgage, so I can't give them grace. Or they leave and you have a vacancy for 6 months. Or, and here's something else, if that renter goes into bankruptcy, the court can hold you in contempt of court for even trying to collect the rent payment from them. It's in bankruptcy law. You are not allowed to even reach out to them. So please, avoid debt at all costs. Well, yeah, only pay down your mortgage in the bull market and stack sats in the bear market. Yeah, at the end of the day, guys, that is what I talk to people about in financial coaching all the time. Look, you've got some debt. It's okay. I'm not going to kill you for it. I'm not going to, but it happens. We take out debt. It's part of life, but that is a goal that you can put some of your gains into. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it out. I do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are about to go into a major rally. Even right now, Bitcoin looks to be attempting to break above $70,000. We're currently at $69,680. Very, very exciting stuff. Bitcoin is breaking above this uptrending level of support, which of course is defined by this current level, so we'll see where that goes. But we're also breaking above our previous all-time highs as set back in 2021. So Bitcoin is likely going to see a big rally here today. As I said, in the next week, I think that you're going to see a major rally on Bitcoin and on many of the altcoins. So this is kind of your last chance in this corrective movement to load up some good positions because I think we're going back towards our bull market highs. So stay tuned for that, guys. We will have more content coming out over the course of this year. This year for sure, but over the course of this week. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of content coming up. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Interest is evil. Well, there's a reason why Christian brothers and sisters are not supposed to charge usury, otherwise known as interest, to each other, because it is a form of slavery and is bondage. And the only person we are supposed to be serving is our Lord Jesus Christ, who is only ever going to have good things for us. Every human will treat you wrong at some point. God will always have your best interest at heart. All right, guys. ETH buy? I think so. It's a good buy. Only time it's good to be a slave to a lender is when your life is a banker. Is renting better than buying property? In the long run, it's better to own your home. In the short run, unless you have a very good down payment saved up, and I'm not against you taking out a mortgage to get your first home, but unless you have a very solid down payment saved up and you have all of your other consumer debt paid off, then yes, it is better to rent for a season. People think, oh, you're flushing money down the toilet. Unless you're in a financial position to take on the responsibility, because money is not just for fun. It is responsibility. It is just another form of responsibility. Until you are able to take on the responsibility of owning an entire flipping house, you need to be renting because you don't have enough money and potentially maybe not even enough skills and adulthood maturity to be able to manage a home. I remember when we bought this house. Man, I didn't know what to do. I never owned a house before. There's a lot of work on this flipping thing. There's a lot of work you got to do on a house. Things go wrong. You know what? HVAC goes, house is only 5 years old, but HVAC goes out. That's 10 grand. I got to pay that, right? If you're going to get a mortgage, do a 15-year, and people think that's stupid, but I'll tell you what, it's not stupid. I can show you the numbers. You will save hundreds of thousands of dollars on interest if you have a 15-year mortgage, and it does mean you'll have a smaller house, but you know what? It means that when you actually, it'll make it a lot easier to pay the house off, and you'll be debt-free a lot sooner, which is a much better way to live than having a much bigger house that you are now a slave to, and save up at least a 20% down payment. I want you to have as big of a down payment as you possibly can. Yeah, we used to get people calling in saying interest was against their religion and they weren't going to pay it on their student loan. So here's the thing on that. If they took out the student loan, then that's on them. They don't really get a choice on that. They should, if it's against their religion to take in interest, which, to be honest with you, Christianity does say, the Bible does say, God himself does say, interest is, the borrower is slave to the lender, then they shouldn't have taken out the student loans in the first place. Here in the real world, if you take out the student loan, then you have to actually pay it back because that's what's called integrity. You know what's against a Christian's religion? Making a commitment and not honoring it. The Bible says that a good man sweareth and keeps his promise even to his own hurt. That's in Psalm 15. We'll have that be the verse of the day, and then we'll wrap it out. Psalm 15, 4 and 5. I don't have this memorized, so I'll go ahead and quote it here, read it here. Let's see. Where are we? There we go. In whose eyes a vile person is condemned, but he that honoreth them that fear the Lord, he that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. It's talking about a man of integrity, a woman of integrity, somebody that is a good individual, is somebody that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. In ESV, it reads like this: they make firm commitments and follow through even at great cost. That is what a Christian does. Is if you made a commitment to a student loan, then even to your own hurt, you're going to follow through and pay the thing back. Now, pay the thing back as quick as you can, so you're not just paying interest on it forever, but pay the thing back. Yep, they signed a master promissory note. Yeah, fact of the matter is, you signed it. Is this not your signature on this piece of paper? You have to pay it off because of this thing called integrity. Tom Crown in chat said, pump a clock. Let's go. That's right. Pump a clock, guys. Bitcoin trading at $69,500. Guys, we are going to have to wrap it out. Really, really excited to be here with you guys this week. We've got a lot more content coming. I think a big rally is coming to cryptocurrency, so we're going to be staying tuned for that. But like I said, we are going to wrap it out. Make sure that you guys check out some of the sponsors of this stream, Blowfin, NordVPN. Both of them are excellent. You can find their links down below. As I said, we're going to wrap it out. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good